the news that didn't make the news. I'll wait and see if a few people show up here. My preference would be to not talk completely to myself. But at the same time, I suppose I'm getting somewhat used to talking to myself as well. So the video today is going to be about demanifestation, our exit signs in reality, and how that is affecting our personal shift, and also what we are seeing in our outer world at this moment. So, exit signs are a pretty important thing for us to listen to, but I know that we've been having difficulty and challenge in this area for quite some time. Hence the need for me to be continually talking about it and or addressing it in this format. Now, I know that you guys would love me to talk about the destruction that's going on and the stance against the elite deep state that is going on and all of that. I do look at my stats occasionally, and when I talk about stuff like NASA and David Wilcock being a clone and other things like that, I get a ton more views. But the reason I'm here today doing this format instead of that other format that I've done the last couple times is because we are experiencing what is, it may feel like, the back channel of the worldly filter of what's going on. So, but really we are experiencing on a internal micro level what is happening in our outside world in a very macrocosmic way. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I know y'all just love all the stuff about who's no longer with us on this planet that was part of the deep state, and where the fires are today, and what obelisks have been taken down this week. The amount of stuff going on is crazy. And actually, I had started compiling a list on the 10th of July and thinking this is what my next video is going to be about, because I've just blown away at the amount of things going on in physical reality. But instead of talking about the macrocosmic level of physical reality today, I want to talk about where specifically this is coming from and our signs to exit situations, because that's super important. Now, as you can see, the deep state did not know when to exit the game, and that is the big part of their problem. That's why we're seeing so much destruction of property and lives and everything else, is because they didn't know when to walk away. We have more wisdom in a different direction than they currently possess. That is obvious to me. So we need to use that wisdom instead of looking solely at the macro. I'm going to tell you what is going on, the micro, which is hard for me because I am almost always looking at the macro. But I have friends that like to point out the macro for me as a Scorpio. That self-observation can be really something sometimes. So hello and welcome to those of you that are here. I'm going to go ahead and start. We're going to talk about your exit signs. So let's currently have some reflection about what's going on the world stage, even though this is going to be the micro, not the macro. So on the world stage right now, we have people that don't know when to walk away, don't know when to leave a situation, don't know when to stop the control, they don't know when to stop the manipulation, and they don't know when to end the chaos. Let's not join them in that same dance that they are doing with fate right now, because we have the wisdom and we absolutely do know better. So the first thing is the current reflection that we can look at from what is going on the world stage, as far as like fires in Rome and obelisk being, quote, struck by lightning is the official story, and all those other things going on. This is a reflection of us. This is a reflection of our self-worth and our personal vulnerability. Now, you know what vulnerability and self-worth are. I don't need to explain that to you. The worth of knowing when to get out of a situation. And for me and for you, for us within this band of frequency, there are exit signs when we should get out of or leave a situation. Now, the human brain has a lot of resistance to this type of change, okay? So, what's been created in our outside world and in our internal self world that we need to deconstruct, that we need to demanifest. Okay. Why are we seeing so much deconstruction? Or you could just call it destruction, but I'm calling it deconstruction because the majority of what we are seeing in the deconstruct mode is things that are constructs that have been put in place by men, okay, or by our civilization. It's not all men, it's humans in general. Let's not blame everything on the man, okay? But anyway, so we have a deconstruction that's going on right now, and it's evident. You can see it every single day, even if you're like popping through social media for 2 seconds to look at something. You really can't help but to see the stories of destruction. And so the reason we're seeing so much destruction or deconstruction is because there are things that we have created as humans on this planet that don't serve us, that don't serve the planet, that don't serve any of sentient life on this planet, therefore, hence the destruction and deconstruction of those things. So we can look at the deconstruction and say, this is man-made. It's a control system that no longer in our hearts wishes to propagate or expand any further. We don't want to see any more further destruction of our rainforest or further destruction of the animal kingdom or the plant kingdoms or anything like that. We are the construction team of New Earth. Now, we have to create New Earth internally here before we can exude that into our outside world. So when we're looking at the deep state or any kind of agenda that we feel is not serving this planet and sentient life, we are then asked to look at the reflection of what we are doing. Now, this is a very hard thing for humans. This is also not something that is going to resonate with every single person, because not every single person is going to choose the small portion of this video that I'm going to talk about now. It may not be something that you've chosen. Before we connect to our higher self, when we're in the state of listening to guides and listening to a lot of outside information, and I'm not talking about any outside information. We are never, ever going to stop listening to any outside information. We are living in a world, we are not living in the Himalayas like monks. So we are going to process and experience things in our outer reality. But on that same token, I feel like I'm going to sneeze, and hopefully I'm not. On that same token, our life is a mimic of the outside world and vice versa. We affect it, it affects us, and it's a simultaneous thing that happens. When you are specifically guided by guides or outside information, and I'm telling you this because it happened to me and it was really difficult maneuvering through it because I was doing what I was guided to do, but I had no idea why I was doing what I was doing. So I'm traveling across the United States. I was told to specifically I was told to specifically do certain things every day, but not set up an elaborate 3D plan about where I was going to live, where I was going to work, where I was going to do all those 3D things, which you can imagine was pretty terrifying. Getting in your car and driving across the country with very little money, just being kind of guided to do, and guided to do. Now, I kind of, in my limited understanding of what I was doing, thought I was doing something on a human personal level, when actually I didn't find out till a year and a half later, I was doing something on the grid level that was way beyond any grid work that I had ever done before. In California, I was there long enough to unpack my car before it started a downpour and then we had almost 28 days of rain. When I moved to Tijuana, within a week, there was the first earthquake in Tijuana for 100 or 150 years or something. So I was causing catalyst energy. My light conduit was causing catalyst energy on that grid to shift certain grids to hold a new energy. Did I know that's what I was doing? I had no idea. Now, the only reason I'm telling you this is a big reflection of what is going on right now. So here I am, I'm moving all over the place. I'm in LA, I'm in San Diego. Next thing I know, I'm in Tijuana, which is very, very interesting being in Tijuana. For a whole load of reasons. Then I ended up, excuse me, I ended up in Kansas, and then I ended up going back to Ohio. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm coughing. Okay, so sorry. I don't know what that's about. So my point is, you will always be led, guided, and intuitively, momentously pushed in a direction without having full knowledge of what you're doing or why you're going in that direction. Initially, that's how it starts until you kind of figure it out and play around with that energy. Now, the reason this is important is because our human mind strives to erect permanent structures in our lives. Our human mind really goes after putting up permanent structures for our lives. So relationship dynamics, marriage, contracts, jobs, investments, geographical locations. And the reason I'm saying this may not resonate with all of you is you may not be someone that's moved around a lot, but it seems like the majority of people that I speak to have moved around an incredible amount of time and for a short period that they've lived on Earth. So that's one of the signs that you are energetically doing this thing. So what I want to talk about are exit signs. Now, since I did not know, and my guides never told me, right, because the system of guides is a guide. It's way different than your higher self. You may sit down and channel your higher self and write 3 pages and know exactly where to go and what to do. But when it comes to having a guide outside of your own self, that is not the case. So when we're guided to do something, be somewhere, people, places, and things that we're guided to, that doesn't mean they're permanent, right? But in my mind, I was thinking, well, why do I want to move? Do you know how many times I've moved? Because I was in Kansas and I was told it was time to go. And then I just, didn't listen because I'm like, oh no, I just finally, in my mind, now have some sort of stability, because again, the mind strives to create permanent structures. Those are relationships, jobs, investments, family dynamics, geographical locations. Your mind wants to fix something permanent so that you can be comfortable. Now, just because something worked many years ago or many decades ago does not mean it's going to work in this moment of now, right now. And that's the reason I'm doing this. There's a lot of guilt or anxiety about leaving a cycle behind that you know is finished. So as your mind strives to erect permanent structures, things that you can permanently hold on to, when something starts to feel bad or uneasy and escalates into chaotic, your mind is still telling you, but this is a permanent job. But this is a permanent relationship. This is a house I bought. I planned on living here forever. And that's fine. We have free will. We make our own choices. We do what is best for us. But as this energy right now is ever changing and ever flowing, we are given a lot of shorter term jobs. And I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Many of you probably experienced this a lot in the last 10 years. Like, you may get into a relationship and think, this is a permanent relationship, but really it's just a lesson. And you can stay in that relationship that was supposed to be like a lesson, probably some last lifetime sort of thing that you didn't finish, okay? Or you didn't understand exactly what the lesson is. So it's very hard for the human mind to wrap itself around the things that are coming into our lives right now are the exact opposite. So while the mind is trying its best to construct permanent structures, the heart is saying, go with the flow, go with the flow, go with the flow, do what feels good. And I've been talking about being connected to the soul and the soul map for a couple of months now. And you will know your connection to that soul map by how good you feel doing whatever that thing is that you're doing or that you are in. So the question becomes, how much energy do we give to a situation? Now, if you have a job that you really, really love, but things are not working out and it's chaotic, then yes. And I'm not saying that we walk away from everything. Here's what I'm saying. What is the exit sign for anything in your life? Okay, there are exit signs. Get off the road. Your time is done. It's time for a new road or a new path or new people, a new place, a new thing. But the permanent structure mind thing has a really hard time maneuvering around this and dropping into the heart space. So, how much energy are you going to give to a situation? Now, you can think about a job or even a marriage as a perfect example, because people, I've done so many readings for people, specifically women, that are like, well, I've been in this situation for a really long time and I really care about this person, and maybe next week he'll wake up, maybe next year he'll wake up, and it's all a matter of how you want to do it. So initially, your higher self, your guides, everything that you're working with will give you simple exit signs that it's time to exit whatever it is that's no longer serving you. When we're looking at our outside world and the things that no longer serve us and how they are deconstructing themselves, that's coming because internally we are making choices to live in a very new and very different way that hasn't been lived since really probably indigenous times, for sure. So the temporary assignments that we sometimes receive. And some of you could be doing these now. Some of you could have started these like me many, many years ago. And again, the hard thing is to know when is it a time to let go of that. But your guides, your intuition, your higher self, your soul map will start giving you exit signs. If you ignore those exit signs, what then happens after that is chaos within the job, within the relationship, within the geographical location, whatever it is for you. And some people are experiencing the demanifestation of several things simultaneously. But whether it's people, it's land, it's job opportunities, or past missions, there will first be exit signs that it's time for you to leave. If you do not listen to those exit signs, and trust me, because I've done it so many times, I could tell stories and stories on stories about times that I was told to exit and did not. But it's really important to know that when something within your geographical location, within your relationship, or within your job, or whatever it is, after it gives you so many signs, it will then start to become chaotic. Now, when things start to become chaotic, the mind says, oh, I should try to soothe this conflict with the other person or with this job. I should try to soothe the chaos that's going on in the situation. But you have to remember that we are just a gigantic conduit for light, which means we are a gigantic conduit to change. And sometimes we are asked to go into situations, relationships, and geographical locations so that we can catalyze that person, so that energy within that person, place, or thing can stop being in the stagnant energy and move forward into the new direction that it's supposed to. The only way that you can tell which is which is if you are working your best with that other person or in that other situation, to be transparent, to be honest, to be loving, to be honorable, to be a person of integrity, and there's still a conflict. There's still a chaos. That is because that is not a conflict or a chaos that you yourself are meant to soothe. That is a conflict or a chaos that you are supposed to learn the lesson from, release from the karma, and release from that situation. And it's so difficult for people to do this. And maybe we think of ourselves in a different way. Instead of thinking of ourselves as a human with a mission, maybe we think of ourselves as a fairy or the magician from the tarot, whatever it is to help you. Because what is going on right now? The energy is ever changing and ever flowing. So we're in a constant state of change. You can very much see that in the outside world. Our inner world also wants to be in that state of change when we are guided to, directed to, and energetically pushed in to a new direction. So again, every single time you will get chaos, you will get conflict if you are going against the direction that the energy is pushing you through. So that's why I say maybe we think of ourselves as the catalyst, as a magician, as a fairy, as just a giant light conduit moving from place to place. Now, there are certain people, I know several couples that are together, and they are huge conduits together. And so they move around on geographical locations together. And I am by no means telling you to get rid of simultaneously the people, places, and things that keep you grounded in the third dimension. I am talking about things that no longer serve your highest good, and you're more than self-aware that they're not serving your highest good, but you are trying to soothe the chaos. You are trying to soothe the conflict when it's actually not about the conflict, and it's actually not about the other person. It's about what's on your soul map. How should you navigate your soul map? With honesty, with integrity, with love, with motivation, with inspiration, with aspiration to be the best possible person. So any situation that you're in that is not conducive to those things, that is when the chaos and the conflict arises. And that's when it's time to get out of the situation. And for people, it's different things. Like I said, it could be investments, it could be jobs, it could be relationships. Some people are delving into multiple things just because they've held on to the energetic resistance of leaving certain situations for so long that they have a compounded situation where they have a job that they don't like and a husband they don't resonate with and other things like that. The thing about this is there's so much guilt attached to this because let's say you got married in 2011, okay? You felt in your heart at that time that was love, that was a beautiful thing. This is someone I can build with. This is someone has the same ideas, etc., etc. You get the point. But when we started to really, really, really accelerate the ascension process, we're falling out of harmony and into disharmony with a ton of people. That doesn't mean we disassociate or hermit ourselves, from our family and completely from our friend circle. But I'll tell you, it's becoming more and more and more of a challenge. I will tell you that in the last 7 years of my life, there have only been probably 2 people that I resonated with on the same frequency of understanding that I did when I met that person. So again, we have to get past the guilt in the brain, right? Because, in 2011, this was the perfect match for me. And so a lot of people feel really bad about that, but you shouldn't feel bad about your progression. You shouldn't feel bad about your ascension. You shouldn't feel bad about your spiritual awakening. And so what I started seeing, the pattern that I started seeing in readings, some people have been married 30 years, some people had only been married shortly before COVID, but this is what's coming out. I've got one person over here, that's the client, that is becoming multidimensional, that is experiencing expanded consciousness, that is going through an accelerated ascension process. And the other person is not. And there's nothing you can do about that other than sit around and wait for that person to change. The thing is, we don't know if someone signed up for change or not. And I realized through doing readings that there are many people that are not, that are together, that do love each other, but they're not, even though multidimensionality does affect our 3D living situation, these people are having a really hard time maneuvering through their 3D life when I don't know what the exact perfect word is. I could say morals, that's not the right word. I could say goals, that's really not the right word. Hopefully you understand energetically what I'm trying to say. There is a frequency, there is a vibration that is either cohesive with mine or it's not cohesive. Now, the only thing about that is you stay in a job that your vibration no longer resonates with. It pulls you out of the vibrational resonance of every other thing in your life that you're doing. So your job is affecting your relationship. Your job is affecting your symbiotic connection with nature. Everything is affecting everything. And I know it's really hard for people, and there's a lot of guilt and a lot of shame and a lot of not wanting to hurt people and things like that. And that's why I'm telling you, within the person, place, or thing, first comes the exit sign, then comes the conflict, and then shortly thereafter comes the chaos. And, people are trying to soothe the conflict or appease the chaos for a really long time. But again, that pulls you out. And we can't help it. We shouldn't feel guilty for this. I'm really, really, really glad that I never got married in my 20s or in my 30s. And I had this feeling and I had no idea why, but right now I'm glad that I didn't do it, because even in the last relationship I had, I experienced oh, we can share all these things. We're on this vibration. We can pass this wisdom back and forth. It's somebody that actually cares to talk about and research and read about the things that I care about. It's amazing. But there's so much more to it even than just that thing. So compromise doesn't come when you have two opposite people that don't want the same thing and you think, oh, I can compromise and meet in the middle. And that is what will solve the issue with this person, this job, this geographical location. But it doesn't do anything to solve the problem. And so there are so many people that are in this situation I know would tell me, and I watch this video later and say, I can hear people thinking, you're right. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be in this. But my mind is comfortable or my body is comfortable. And you think your mind is comfortable, and you may think that your body is comfortable. But if you're experiencing things that are physically bothering you, and you have this thing that you know doesn't serve you anymore, that what is going on from the physical signs in the body is coming directly from the relationship, the job, the contract, the whatever it is, that's no longer in service to ourselves. Because when we are in service to ourselves, we are in service to the soul group. We are in service to unity of the entire planet. We are in service to not seeing these things created in physical reality that we don't want. And that is exactly why we're seeing the demanifestation and the deconstruction that's happening on such an amazingly broad scale right now. So if we want more of that in the world, more of that demanifestation of what we didn't wish for, the control and manipulation that doesn't serve us or the planet or any part of sentient life, that comes about every time you make the choice. Because I started this video by saying we have a reflection in this world coming from us. What is our self-worth? What is our vulnerability, and what is our self-worth towards this planet, towards animals, towards each other, towards everything? So it's a big reflection that we are experiencing right now. And if we think of ourselves more like a magician, like, okay, I am supposed to work at this place for 3 months, or I am supposed to go visit this friend in Oregon for 2 months, but I'm not supposed to marry him. I'm not supposed to stay there. And it's hard to wrap the mind around it, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of opportunities that are very, very important for you as a soul, and very also important for the grid and our movement on the grid right now. That's why we are being offered things that are maybe not permanent. So if we think of ourselves more as a catalyst moving around to assist people or assist grids or assist sentient life, it works easier, because I know the human mind and even the human heart can get attached to people, places, and situations. So the thing we really have to ask ourselves with, what energetically right now, who are you struggling with? Ask yourself energetically, who am I struggling with? Because the answer is you're struggling with yourself, because there are things you need to do, there are things you want to do that you're not doing, and that's causing internal struggle within you. In this moment of now, I can say, when I started the video, I said things that I thought were important, but I can always change in every moment. So there is the Tina self. There's the old Tina. There's the new Tina. The old Tina today was set aside on the walk, and I talked to new Tina and I said, new Tina, what is the focus for today? Old Tina is on Hand Aside Street. New Tina is on Blue Rock Street. What does the Tina walking on Blue Rock Street want today? And then I said out loud, who am I today? Did I not feel good? Or did I have pain in my body on Hand Aside Street? I did. But I know in my manifestation powers that I can change that I can leave the old story of Tina. I can leave the old narrative of Tina's life, of Tina's struggle, of Tina's whatever it is. I can leave that old narrative. I can walk away from that old story because I've seen the exit signs. And if I don't exit when I see those signs, I can't enter the place that is choosing in my heart the desired energetic direction that I wish to go into. So it's important for us to pay attention to the exit signs, preferably before it becomes conflictual and chaotic. That would be good. But if you're like me in the last few years, I let several things to get to the chaotic point before I let them go. I'm no longer practicing that. New Tina is saying, old Tina did this 5 minutes ago. It's fine. I don't have to do this anymore. And I'm getting better about letting it go and doing other things. You are not your past. I am not my past. I am not the story that I told Tip in California 3 hours ago when we talked for 3 hours on the phone. If I'm doing it right, I'm saying, oh, that's an old story. What if I like the old story? That's fine. If I still like that person, that's fine. But when my energy moves away from that, I need to physically move my body away from that and also cut my energy from that. When you break up with someone, right? A lot of people will be stalking on social media or talking to their friends and family or asking people in the community, what's this person doing? Is he seeing anybody? Whatever. If you've walked away, cut off the energy. Okay. I mean, a lot of people are still friends after that sort of situation, and that's great. Depending on what you experienced in that dynamic, whether you want to still be friends with that person. I am friends with multiple people in my life that I have dated, but not everybody is in that situation, and not every relationship can withstand a friendship afterwards, depending on what happened during that relationship. So it's a really magical time to be alive, but our manifestation and our demanifestation is all revolving around the energy of one thing. What is expanding and contracting? It's like the yin yang, expansion and contraction in your reality. Oh, I liked this. I thought this was a good idea an hour ago. I don't need to beat myself up. Did I make a mistake thinking something was good for me 10 years ago when I got into this contract or went to work for this place or whatever it is? We have to know it's part of the learning process and drop the guilt and the anxiety and all of that stuff that comes with hanging on to something or someone or anything that's no longer serving you. Because I see so many people talking about, I want all these massive changes in the outer world. I want a free and fair financial system. I want a government that cares about us. I want. But it starts right here. So the first thing is in your self-worth. What is the world showing you your worth on the macrocosmic level? It's showing you what we're giving it as a collective. Now I could say, well, I'm giving it a 2 and so is giving it a 7 and someone else is giving a 3. Okay, fine. It goes into the pool and becomes a 4, if that makes sense. So the more people step up and don't do things that are not in energetic alignment with them, the more we change the collective energy, and that is what is shifting the macrocosmic world. So staying in a situation that is conflictual and chaotic while saying, oh, hurry up with the banking system, or hurry up with these arrests, or hurry up with this and that, is contingent upon you. Do you understand that that's contingent upon you? Because I think some people do, and I think some people don't understand it. Every moment we are something new. We can change our energy every moment. And I want to speak to this very briefly. I made a video specifically about manifestation. Yes, there is such a thing as instant manifestation. No, most of us are not at that level of instant manifestation at this time. So here's what I want you to know. This came out in a reading about a week ago where someone was starting to question the judgment on some of the decisions in the business world that they had made because there was no energetic reaction from the universe or from the zoning commission or from the state license bureau, for example. So when you put something out energetically, this is the direction I'm going in energetically. The second step is taking action in the 3D world. So when you've put out the energy and taken the action in the 3D world, it doesn't come back to you instantly. That's not the pace of manifestation or demanifestation that we are at right now, currently. So that's important for you to know. I have some things in my life that I have been working to demanifest or deconstruct for 2 years. But part of it is our belief system. If this happens, I need to do this, and this for my body to undo where the body currently is. But it's all about your belief system. Your energetic field is reacting to your belief system. So if I believe it's going to take me X amount of time to accomplish something, it will take me X amount of time. If I believe in spontaneous, miraculous healing, and I say to myself and to the world when I'm using my verbiage with other people, I am healed. I am miraculously in this moment, a different person than I was an hour ago. If I get into that energy, then I can. But until we get to that point, whatever we put out there, whatever we're wanting to manifest, whatever we're wanting to de-manifest also, as the trickle down theory that I've talked about many times to you. So we put something out there in our energetic field or out to the universe, right? I want to manifest this thing. I want to de-manifest this thing. Okay. That high frequency energy of making that choice, of moving into another energy, of moving into another direction is listening to you. Your cells in your body are listening to you. The universe is listening to you. The ancestors, guides, everything. But how things manifest or de-manifest within the 3D realm is not at the same pace. So I may feel like this thing that I'm working on is right here. I can feel it. I can taste it. I can smell it, but it's not here. So I'm telling you this because I went through this. It's difficult and I know other people going through it. Do not get discouraged that you are not instantly manifesting or instantly de-manifestation. Okay, so both manifestation and demanifestation are not instant. Starting with your higher frequency and the higher levels, when you can feel it, you know it's coming. How long it takes to get here, I couldn't tell you. It depends, again, on what the belief system is within your energetic field. But know when you put that thing out there to manifest or to even de-manifest, that it is working, that it is happening, that it is coming to you. But the idea came to you faster. The higher energy comes to you faster. But the manifestation itself has to work itself through the energy of the other places that it's coming from and the other energy that is assisting you. And there is also a such thing as, and I know you guys know this, as divine timing. So It's important to be patient. I've had a really hard time with that myself in the last 2 years. That's why I'm explaining the energy of what happens in here and how I make change and how it affects the micro. The micro affects everything you've ever wanted on the macro. And what I see, what I feel from a lot of people is, oh, there's this thing I really want, or there's this house I really want, or there's this place I really want to live, or there's this person that I really want to love that I just can't get enough of. But I'm going to put that on a shelf somewhere until later, until it's the right time. And that's the biggest thing that is stopping our manifestation and our demanifestation from working faster. And the reason that all of these things that I'm talking about for the past 40 minutes mean a great deal and make a great difference is not just because the macro within us, everything within our power and our beauty to go with the new energy, to make the changes that make our life more beautiful, that make the outer world more beautiful. Beyond that, way, way, way beyond that dimensionally. And I know every single one of you feel it, and I feel it really strongly from some of you. There is a craving of experience. There is this craving. I really want this person, place, thing. Okay, probably not a thing. Hopefully you're not craving or longing for a car or a house. But energetically speaking, we are craving experience that feeds the heart. We are craving experience that feeds the soul. Okay, not 3D things. The reason that person, place, or thing that you have put above yourself, you put that person, place, or thing above you, above your own self-worth on the shelf. It's for later, right? It's for later in my life. When I figure out how to do it, when I figure out how to get in the energy of the emperor, when I learn how to do this or do that, and just keep putting that thing that you love, that you want on a shelf for later because of self-worth. So I'm asking you, take the deep dive into that, because the whole reason in talking about the micro and the macro of the world situation, and how the mind strives to build permanent structure, how the mind does not want to deconstruct the relationship, the contract, the job, the whatever it is. The mind has a hard time knowing when there are even exit signs present. And the reason this is so important is your soul, your heart is craving an experience. There is something or someone that you are absolutely, unequivocally craving. Okay. There is a heart and soul craving to experience this person, place, or thing right now. And it's not even just like, let's say, for example, someone wants to meet me. It's not even the fact that someone wants to meet me or like go to the movies or do some kind of 3D thing. Just so I'm using myself, just so I can make sense of what I'm saying. So the person that is craving the experience with me is not craving, oh, I want to see what Tina's cooking skills are, or I want to see how fast Tina can climb this mountain, or I want to see if Tina can really swim 2 miles straight like she said she is. That's not what it's about. To explain this craving, that craving is, oh my God, I'm craving an experience that I absolutely have to get to the core essence of this other person in a human body. That is a gift. And I think so many of us, and I would say every single one of us, is either in the process of experiencing this, has experienced this, or is starting to experience this now. This craving to get to the absolute depth, the absolute core of another person. That is a soul connection. that really cannot be explained in words, though I've been trying in so many ways over the last several years. It is a craving to get to know someone at a soul level. It is, I wonder what those mannerisms are really like. I wonder what that touch is really like. I wonder what the scent is really like. All of that. Because it's not, we could go out and meet people and talk to people and have relationships with tons of different people, right? But right now, part of the ascension process for us is the relationship template that says, oh my God, what is at the core essence of this person? What is driving the absolute core essence of this person that I'm fascinated, that I just can't get enough of this? And that situation, I just felt it was easier to explain as a person. But whatever that is, whatever that deep dive to the core essence discovery is for you, it's important to listen to it. And it's not only important to listen to it, it's the whole reason I made this entire video of self-reflection. The reflection of self-worth, the reflection of vulnerability, how things lead to upheaval and chaos, and how we receive signs to exit. The reason for all of that, and I know that's not what you guys like to hear. I can see that by the numbers of the people that watch the videos. It's not what you guys like to hear. But that is the driving energy for this planet. That's what's driving the change for this planet, is that love, that core essence of, I am so inspired in every cell of my body to get to the core essence of that person, of that place, of that thing. It is my inspiration. Stop putting your inspiration up on a shelf for later. The inspiration is coming right now in this stage of ascension, mostly through our connections with other people, because it's the time we most need inspiration. It's the time that we most need inspiration. It's the time that we most need healing, and we have an amazing capability to heal each other. But it's also a time where we want to be inspired. And if we're in situations, looking at one situation or a person, place, or thing and going, oh my God, that's so inspiring over there. And one day I'll be over there in that inspiring place. But right now I'm here stuck in a lack of inspiration, because that's where I have to be. The whole reason for the micro and the macro, for the outburst, for the deconstruction, for the fires in Rome, for the falling obelisk, for the decommunication that's going on with NASA and its ground crews and other non-NASA people. It's all for the same reason. It's also you can go inside yourself and not evaluate yourself, not judge yourself, not make yourself feel guilty for what you did or what no longer works for you that you signed up for before. Your heart and your soul are craving an experience, and the fastest way through the ascension process out and transformation of yourself in your outer world is to go after what is inspirational for you. What are you craving to dive to the absolute depths of? And that is where your answers are for you. And for all of us, it's not the same thing. And for all of us, it's not a person. But right now, for so many of us, it is a person. That's why I use that example. But you get what I'm saying. You can figure out how that applies to you. Take the deep dive. It's so important. If we really want to change ourselves, our situations in life, and our outer world, we take a deep dive into the thing that inspires us. We take a deep dive into the thing that we're fascinated by, that we can't get enough of. Whatever that is for you, take that deep dive. Watch your world internally transform so fast, and watch the world transform as well. There are so many of us looking inside saying, what is my fascination? What is my love? What is that thing that I just don't want to be without? And that is your answer to transformation. And there are so many people doing this. And that's why we're seeing such a huge shift in our outer reality of all these things demanifestating and blowing up that we don't want, because we're going in and we're doing that. And I know this is long, and I know it's not the subject matter that you want, but I hope you will think about taking that passion out of the closet, off the shelf, and putting it back in here where it belongs, so that we can do this. And besides, this is supposed to be fun. It's not all supposed to be boring. It's not all supposed to be watching the news to see what's blown up today, right? We are the inspiration and the love and the healing for one another. That's the biggest part of this. And I appreciate you guys and the healing you send to me. And I appreciate you being here. And I appreciate you listening. Know when you've come to your exit signs. And I am sweating profusely without my air on. So that for me means that I am to my exit sign. So I love you. And until next time, this is Tina, the news that didn't make the news. Bye.